Live from Orlando, Florida, you're listening to the Orlando Magic HQ podcast, the voice of Magic fans. Join us every week for a unique fan perspective on all of the latest Magic news and updates. The show starts now.
What's up, Magic fans? Welcome back to another episode of the Orlando Magic HQ podcast, brought to you by the Believe Podcast Network and Bet Online. We're your hosts, Al, myself, Anthony. Today is Friday, January 17th, and the Magic finally hit the halfway point, and with some good news to kind of follow up with that, we got Paolo back in the lineup after missing a good amount of time. Magic still able to keep the boat afloat. But it still feels like, man, we're holding this team together with Band-Aids, with glue, with sticks, man. It's been rough, but the Magic's still finding a way to compete. And we're going to talk more about that in today's episode, just kind of our thoughts on how we feel. The season's gone so far towards this halfway point. Jalen Suggs definitely still a little beat up, but we've been able to see him now back onto the bench. And then some good news around Franz Wagner. So we'll touch base on that in just a moment. But before we do, quick word from our sponsors, Bet Online. Bet Online continues to be the world's most trusted betting platform and your number one source for online betting in 2025. Whether you're a seasoned fan or a first-time bettor, Bet Online is your ultimate game day companion with the largest selection of odds on everything from the football, the NBA, college basketball to NHL and UFC. Bet Online is the number one sports betting source for the new year. From touchdowns to three-pointers and hat tricks, Bet Online has you covered on even more every day and play to win. Bet Online, the game starts here. Al, man, what's going on halfway through the season? Talk to me. Let's start off with that, man. How are you feeling up to this point with kind of where the team's at?
I mean, being honest with you, even with the team not being healthy, I got to say I've been impressed with the fact that the team is where it's at today, 23-19, fifth seed today after we lost to Milwaukee last night. So barely behind the Bucks for the fourth seed. I'll take it, man. Again, even if we were healthy, I would have taken this just because the schedule has been really, really brutal. We're coming off a really rough December, a really rough January. And again, you just knew it was going to be a rough first half of the season. So the fact that we are where we are today, I'll take it. Now, I will say things will get really interesting the next couple of months into the end of the season. There's a bunch of teams from the third seed, fourth seed, all the way to the ninth seed in the East that are separated by like maybe 2-3 games. So it's going to get really interesting in the second half of the season. But up to this point, man, you couldn't have asked for more. Like I know we want to probably be in the third seed or playing for the second, but realistically with the schedule that we had, what we've had to face, it's been impressive. What about you? What are your thoughts kind of quickly overall on the first half of the season?
Dude, I mean, you would have to take a look at it as everything has, I mean, given the circumstances, right, with the Magic dealing with all the different injuries, you can't ask for a better outcome of where we're at, right? The Magic do fall a little bit, losing to the Bucks twice really, really hurt us. So now we're in the fifth seed, no longer sitting at that fourth. So the name of the game is, ensuring that by the end of the season, you're top four so that you can get home court advantage as you go into the postseason. But you can't ask for much more than where you're at. You're at a point now where you are getting Paolo back. It's just a matter of time. It's already been reported out with Franz Wagner that he's being upgraded to conditioning, right? So it's only a matter of time before we see him. What that time span really looks like, we really don't know. The Magic are known to drag their feet when it comes to these type of things, but it's only a matter of time before this team does become healthy. And man, the cat's out of the bag, man. Nobody is being surprised by the Orlando Magic anymore. Like the Magic were winning when we were healthy. The Magic found ways to win while we were injured. So people are coming out and they know that the Magic is a type of team that they're going to play 4 quarters straight. Even if you take a big lead, it's not going to happen every time. But if you take a big lead against the Magic still find a way to crawl back out, right? And that is, kudos to Coach Mose. That's kudos to everyone kind of just banding together and playing together in order to get us to that point. But yeah, man, there's a lot to be excited about. Obviously, getting your ass kicked by the Bucks is not ideal. We're going into today's game pretty banged up and still going to be missing out a good amount of players. So today's definitely going to be tough. And the Celtics, we've been handing it to the Celtics pretty often, right? When we think about the last 2 seasons, so you know that they're going to come out and be prepared, and try to send a message. So as of now, you can't think too far ahead. You got to take it game by game and hope that you can get some fresh legs and some healthy players and try to battle out. But you have to be optimistic with what you've seen so far.
100%. I mean, when you think about, again, you would have told me back, and we talked about this in one of our earlier episodes when Paolo got hurt. Our fear was, are we going to even be in the play-in by the time that Paolo gets back? Like, are we going to be that far back and have to make up all those games that Paolo, is going to be missing? And again, fast forward to now, Paolo thankfully is back, and we're sitting, half a game behind the Bucks for the 4th seed. Again, that is, to me, incredibly impressive. I think the word for me to summarize the first half of the season truly is by committee. Like, you would have told me again that we would have been here today, I would not have believed you. I wouldn't have believed that Cole Anthony would have won us 4 games. I would have believed you that Goga would have been our starting center by January 16th. Like, all these things have happened. Tristan da Silva has played so many minutes. He's been a starter so many games. Oh, and by the way, you lost Mo Wagner for the season. Franz, torn oblique. Like, it's such a crazy season in a matter of 3 months. Like, so much has happened. But truthfully, when we look back at all this, I think we'll be a better team because of it. Again, the experience that Tristan is getting, Jay Howard getting some reps, the evolution of Gogas and becoming truly our starting center. All these things would not have happened if it wasn't for all those obstacles that we have to face so far as a team. So comes April, comes hopefully May, if the Magic are playing that far, man, which I think they will be, we will be a better team because of it. Tristan shouldn't be nervous getting to the court, playing some minutes off the bench. If Jed needs to come in for a guy that is having foul trouble, he should be ready to come in and hit a couple threes in that game. And hopefully, Cole Anthony's getting more and more reps. He'll be back to the bench role eventually and be, back to having that confidence that, hey, I can do this. So a lot of things to be excited about going forward. A lot of things to look back and say, man, how are we here with everything that's happened so far? But ultimately, again, it's going to make us better, even though we are in a good shape today. Like, we're not in a bad spot, considering how things have gone wrong for us so far this season.
Yeah, I mean, listen, every single team faces some level of adversity, right? That's kind of how these teams get conditioned or prepared for the postseason, the teams that make it that far. You want your team to go through this level of adversity early on and not towards the back end of the season. So it's good that the Magic are facing this because when the shit hits the fan, like you're hoping for these guys to be able to step up. Like, you have Cole Anthony that struggled the whole beginning part of the season, right? And he still has his moments. He has his inconsistencies, but you now have him as your starting point guard, right? So you're hoping that he's able to carry out or carry forward this level of play that we're seeing, because this Cole Anthony is a lot different than the first month of Cole Anthony, right? So if he can still bring that level of productivity, with that second unit, once Jalen Suggs returns and once we start getting some healthy legs in, man, that's only going to help your team. And you said it right with Tristan da Silva. Tristan da Silva is your rookie, man. We were expecting for him to play more than Anthony Black and more than Jay Howard, which to this point we've seen just that, but we weren't expecting for him to be consistently a player that can help win games for us. Like, he's putting himself in a position where we have confidence that he's going to make the right play. He's still a rookie and still makes rookie mistakes, but he's out there playing good, efficient basketball. So there's, again, a lot of things that you can hang your hat on and be excited about. This is how you know that you have a good team, when you have key players get removed from the team due to injury. but your identity of the team doesn't change, and that goes credit to Coach Mose. Like if Coach Mose does not get Coach of the Year, like you would have to find, and I can't think of another coach like top of mind that has exceeded in the way that Coach Mose has, like especially somebody that was runner up last year. Like if you're runner up last year and you still found another level to improve as a coach, like there's not much more that he can really do outside of exceed expectations in the postseason to be given that nod of winning that award.
Yeah, man, I think Coach Mose has done a terrific job. I mean, only really Atkinson with the Cavs comes to mind as a coach that has surprised or shocked the NBA, right? Like they're playing so well. But man, they have a lot of talent in that team. The Magic have done what they've done with, again, a bunch of injuries, so many different issues going on, and they've managed to survive. So I think Coach Mose has a really good case to win Coach of the Year. And hopefully they'll go on a run here in the second half of the season, and he can actually solidify himself as that Coach of the Year. But man, shout out to Cole Anthony. You said it. We've talked about him plenty in recent episodes, but just looked at his stats the last 5 games as a starter for us. 18 points, almost 5 rebounds, 5 assists, and shooting 46% from the field. Completely a different player. And I got to say, man, I'm enjoying the fact that we have a point guard that wants to shoot the ball, wants to score. He's not afraid to go out there and shoot, 15, 20 shots if needed. That's been kind of refreshing to see. So to see, who he was in the first month, 2 months, heck, 2.5 months of the season, to now being the starting point guard, you can tell the confidence just shot up right away for him. And man, we've needed him to be this player. Again, he's won us about 4 games just by himself this season. But looking at those stats, it's impressive where he was, the first 20, 30 games to where he is today. So big shout outs to him. I will ask you quickly, again, talking about the halfway point of the season, in your opinion, who has been the first half MVP for the Orlando Magic so far?
It's Franz Wagner. Like easy. Like you don't have Franz evolve the way that he did with Paolo being out. Like without his level of play, we're not at where we're at, right? And he didn't do it alone. You point at Goga Bitadze, you point at Mo Wagner before he got injured and him stepping up offensively. You can point at so many different elements, but you're looking at a player that has a real shot at making. I haven't seen the updated numbers, but the Magic might have 2 players in the All-Star game, right? Franz Wagner is who we believed him to be, going into this season. He got so much slack with his shooting last year. Even in the beginning of this season, he started off a little slow, a little behind. But man, that dude ramped it up, and he put this team on his back. And I know you were joking around, but you even made the comment like, man, Paolo can't carry the team the same way that Franz did. I know you were joking because obviously these are some tough teams. Like Paolo gets back and he has to play Milwaukee, then Philly, then Milwaukee. So it's not a cakewalk, but man, Franz did so much for this team. He evolved as a player, and how can you not give him the so far MVP of this team at the midway point?
Yeah, man, it's hard to argue that, right? You look at his stats: 24.4 points per game, 5.6 rebounds, 5.7 assists, 46% from the field, and then the 3-point shooting, which was the big asterisk that we all had. Like, what is he going to do this year from behind the arc? 32%. So not crazy, not shooting it at league average just yet, but definitely an improvement from last year. And the way that he carried this team, and again, we talked about it earlier, when Paolo went down, it truly felt like, man, like this could not have come at the worst time, such a tough schedule coming up. And this kid single-handedly just said, you know what, I got us. And he did. He found a way to help us, which nobody expected. And yeah, I said that in a group chat last night after we lost to the Bucks. I'm like, man, like, Paolo's not carrying us the way that Franz was carrying us. Of course, jokingly, but at the same time, man, like, it's just impressive to even think about what he did without Paolo, with all the injuries that we're facing back then also. I can't wait, man. I can't wait to see him back on the court. And it's hard to argue. I can't argue with you. That's my MVP also. Just to be different than you, I would just say that Coach Mosley will be my first half MVP. He's not a player, right? as our coach, I'll give him the first half of the season MVP just because he's found a way to coach us in a way that I truly did not know that he had that level of expertise. He had that level of buy-in from this team. We can see it, right? The chemistry's there. The culture that we talk about so often has been built in Orlando. We're hearing it from other coaches, other players. They can see, actually, Brook Lopez, after the game last night, said that you can tell the culture in Orlando is these guys will come in and play for 48 minutes. Doesn't matter the score. They'll defend hard. They'll play hard. That is something that we honestly didn't have before, right? Clifford was a tough-minded coach, defensive-minded, but the Magic didn't show up for 48 minutes every night. They didn't play hard every single night. That's a Coach Mosley thing. So in my opinion, he's changing what we know as Magic basketball. He really is putting his fingerprint all over it. And it's great to see the guys buy into that. It's great to see guys that say, hey, we enjoy playing here. We enjoy what he's doing, the way he's coaching us. So yeah, when you look at that record, yeah, Franz has been great. All the guys have been great, but I think it's only possible because of what Coach Mosley has done so far this season. So big shout out to him. And man, even when you think about, again, back to Cole Anthony, the way that he's handled the situation, like Cole went from playing to not playing for a while to not being a starter. Like that's hard to do as a player. In some way, somehow, you've never heard Cole say, hey, I don't like what Coach Mosley's doing. I don't like the way that things are going for me in Orlando. The opposite. He's actually saying that Coach Mosley is his biggest fan. He's been trying to help him. So it's hard to see players go through struggles, not get minutes, and still say, hey, it's not the coach's fault, it's my fault. Like in today's NBA, when do you see that?
Yeah, especially when you're second generation, right? Like his dad, Greg Anthony, he can be in his ear talking negative about the team, talking negative about Coach Mose. And I mean, who knows, right? Rightfully so in certain aspects. Like, Cole Anthony could take it and put the blame on somebody else. And he hasn't done that. Like if there's one thing that you can say about this team, man, is that they really enjoy playing with one another. They love playing with Coach Mose. And Coach Mose has that respect from them, which is huge. Another person that I wanted to point out was, Jalen Suggs. Like his shooting is nowhere near where it was last season, right? He ended last season shooting, damn near 40%. A little bit of a shooting slump for him at 31%, but there was an uptick in his points, his 3-point attempts. He went from 5 to 7. His points per game from 12 points a game to almost 17. So again, we entrusted him to be our point guard. And he's been doing a great job for us, man. And that's the exciting part of the season has been watching Jalen Suggs and KCP defend, and the both of them defensively. I don't care what your feelings are on KCP offensively. It was a little slow in the beginning. It's definitely gotten a lot better now before the injury, but defensively they are so much fun to watch. And again, when you take a look at our anchors, those two are our anchors defensively for us. So you can point at so many different factors at the cause, the reason for us being successful this half of the year. And yeah, Franz may wear that MVP hat, but he definitely didn't do it alone. And there's a lot of guys that you can point to and give credit.
Yeah, for sure. Now, I think we've been really, really positive overall when it comes to the team so far. We've been impressed with what they've accomplished. We're happy where they are, on January 16th as we're recording this show. But what about on the negative side? Who is a player? Let me rephrase that. Who is a player that, in your opinion, we need more from in the second half of the season if we're trying to meet our goals, which is make the playoffs, hopefully home court advantage, but also win a first round matchup. So who needs to step it up more for us in the second half of the season?
Yeah, I mean, how can you not be disappointed with Wendell Carter? Goga pretty much stole that center position away from Wendell, right? Goga is not getting paid what Wendell is getting paid. Wendell is getting paid really good money to sit his tail on the bench, right? And you would want some level of fire to prove like, nah, man, I'm not a bench player. I'm a starting five, and I should be playing the bulk of the minutes. And I don't feel like we've gotten a chance to really see that fire from him, right? He's obviously taken advantage of Goga being out with injuries, but you can't ignore the fact that you look at Goga and he looks like your starting center. Like, I would feel uncomfortable not putting him in your starting lineup. You want to see more from Wendell, and you can obviously point at all the injuries that he's had, and rightfully so, but you want him to go out there and steal his position back from Goga, make Goga look bad. I'm not saying to hurt him in any way, but plays so good that you have to go back and debate. I remember last season we were having this debate. We're having this debate this season too. Like, who should be our starting center? The answer is Goga Batadze, and that's not changing. He does so much good for us without demanding or taking the ball away from the guys who need it for us, the guys who need it offensively. So Wendell is somebody that you can point at. You expect more from Jonathan Isaac too. He's, still somebody that we kind of keep on the back burner just a bit, not playing too many minutes. We rely more from him on the defensive end. You can point to his struggles offensively with him getting so much weight in the offseason to kind of bulk up and be ready to play that 5 position for us. But you just want more from him. The other game he had his first double since 2019, something crazy like that. And when I heard that, I'm like, there's no way that this guy, the minister of defense, like somebody that we one pay so much money for, and two think so highly of, getting his last double was, damn near 6 years ago. Like, what is going on? That's crazy. Paolo Banchero like goes to sleep and he wakes up with a double, and this guy, hasn't had it in so long, and he's obviously been on a minute restriction for so many consecutive years. So I get it. It's just you hope offensively, you just wish that there was more, even more so when you have so many people out. Like, a part of me wanted Jonathan Isaac to fill that offensive role that Mo Wagner gave us now that he's out. And, we're at a point where we know what Jonathan Isaac is for us. We know what he brings to the table, and we can't rely on Jonathan Isaac to be the guy that, drops 15, 20 points for us, because that's not what he does. And I think that we've come to a point where that's just something that we have to accept.
So I think you're 100% right. So Wendell Carter has been, unfortunately, a disappointment. I found it odd when we paid him and gave him a new contract, before the season started. It didn't make sense to me. I truthfully did not think that he had done enough to earn himself that contract. But it is what it is. We paid him, and that was great. I will say Jonathan Isaac, to me, in my opinion, has been the biggest letdown so far. I think that we did not expect him to be playing 17 minutes a night. That to me is the biggest thing. Like, I thought after a whole offseason where he was healthy, he was going to play, 25 minutes a night, 23 minutes a night, a little bit more. 17 minutes a night, that's a big disappointment. And then offensively, he took a step back this year. Currently averaging only 6.4 points per game, shooting the ball extremely poorly. 42% for a big guy, not good at all. 25% from three-point range, a drop from 37% last year. So offensively, he's just taking a step backwards. Not what we expected, right? We thought when we saw him in the playoffs starting some games for us, we assumed, okay, here comes J.I. He's going to be healthy after the whole offseason of working out, getting ready. He's going to have a bigger role for us this year. And to your point, Mo Wagner goes down. You assume, okay, more shots for J.I. Unfortunately, those additional shots haven't yielded much. He did have a great game this week. Don't get me wrong. He had the 20 and 11. That was great to see against Philly. But, man, that's like his first good game in a long time. And we haven't seen it consistently. So we need more from him. And how can I not mention it? One of my biggest letdowns in general, Gary Harris, man, we need you. We need you. We keep bringing you back. We keep paying you. We keep, you dress really nice. I like the clothes. I like the fashion. But I don't need you on the bench, man. I need you here playing for us. We are the worst three-point shooting team in the league by far. You're here to help us there, man. I need you. So hopefully that hamstring is healed over the next couple games. because we'll need him the final 40 games, man. We cannot have this guy missing half of the next few games. We have 40 games left. He cannot miss, in my opinion, more than 7. Like, we need you, man. We need you.
You're too hard on Gary Harris, man. This is what you expect. You expect this. You go out to get KCP because you expect Gary Harris to miss the amount of games that he's missing.
Dude, I don't know, man. 20 games played so far, averaging 4 points per game. Not going to cut it for me. Give me Markelle Fultz back. That's what I'm going to say. I'll take Markelle back.
You don't. For that, you bring back RJ Hampton.
After what happened in the offseason, I don't know.
Touchy subject.
Yeah.
Don't forget, all new episodes of the Zoneheads podcast with Brandon and his new co-host Zach are available wherever you download your favorite podcast, and catch BK live on In the Zone weekdays on 96.9 The Game starting at 3:30 p.m. Now, Paolo Banchero, he's been back 3 games. We mentioned he gets his first game back is against Giannis. You get Milwaukee twice, you get Philadelphia. Man, he had such a great welcome back moment, which was huge. He had that really great play against Paul George where he kind of did this Euro muscle drive to the basket where he did this easy dunk on him, which got a lot of views and kind of went viral for him. But what I love is that you get a player back that can easily score 20 points a game, and he's been doing great. What has been your thoughts on Paolo Banchero returning so far?
Man, I think Paolo has been better than what we expected, right? After he missed so many games, you expected some rust. You expected him to struggle a little bit. And right off the bat, he comes out against Milwaukee, scores 34 points, truly carried us in that game to almost beating Milwaukee. He's been great so far, man. I mean, I know it'll take him a little while to get back to his normal minutes, to be that guy that's dropping, consistently 25 to 30, like he was doing early in the season, but he's looked terrific so far, man. I think right now it's really hard to judge him just because we have so many injuries. The defenses are just collapsing on him. Last night against Milwaukee, he was simply just getting double teamed every time. They kept going at him, so it was hard for him to even pull the ball down. They were just going at him every single time. So, and even despite that, he had a solid game. A lot of turnovers, but outside of that, he shot the ball pretty well. So, I think it's looked great. I just want to see him with some help. I think I want to see him with Jalen Suggs out there. I want to see him out there with Franz, hopefully soon here. But he's been looking better than we expected, to be honest.
Yeah, and this takes off so much pressure on, off of Cole Anthony and Gogo Pataje when he was playing for us and the other guys, because man, when you're without Paolo, when you're without Franz and Suggs, like your offensive driving factor is Cole Anthony, and he had to step up to the plate, which luckily for us, he was able to do that. He won us a few games, so it's been huge. But it just takes off so much pressure. And one of the things I love the most is that his first game back, it didn't even seem like he was trying to be. He didn't have to be aggressive offensively. He was just feeding people. Like he attracts so much on the defensive end that it just left everyone open and just made everything easier for everyone else. So just from that perspective, like when these teams have to go in and they have to game plan, you got to worry about Paolo Banchero. So you got to double team, you got to strategize, because he is somebody that can hurt you and hurt you pretty bad. So we've obviously seen defenses adjust to that, but for the most part, 3 games back, scored over 20 points in all 3 games. It's exactly what you want from Paolo Banchero. It's as if he didn't miss a beat, and he's still not playing his best. Like he's still the last game. He seemed it was a very quiet. 20 points, So you can see that he's still trying to get into his rhythm, and then once he gets going, it's going to be pretty dangerous. What's tough is that this team, unfortunately, got used to playing without Paolo Banchero, so they have to readjust to life with Paolo, right? And then once we adjust to that, then we're going to have to readjust again when we bring in Franz Wagner, and then we're going to have to adjust one more time when we bring in Jalen Suggs. So it's good that this is happening now, because we need this ball to start rolling and start rolling efficiently like a machine by the time that we get to the postseason. So I've liked what I've seen so far. Still a little rust, but I think that's going to ease up a lot for Paolo.
Yeah, I think the one thing that I've enjoyed the most is his 3-point shooting. He's shooting 47% in his first 3 games back from injury, and shooting a lot. He's shooting about 5.7 3-point attempts per game, making 2.7 of them. So again, like I said earlier, we've been struggling so badly with 3-point shooting all season long that to see Paolo shoot it this well coming back from injury is definitely something that I'm excited about. I know Franz should be coming back soon, Suggs as well. So hopefully they can come back with their legs refreshed. They can help the team. But man, I truthfully I cannot wait to see this team with Jalen, with Franz, with Paolo, fresh legs. Again, we only got to see it for so little early in the season. It was only 5 games before Paolo went down, and we haven't seen him since. So to get that core back together, and don't forget this, after Sunday that we play the Nuggets here at home, the schedule gets way easier the rest of the season. So to see them come back, fresh legs, with an easy schedule the rest of the way, I think we can really go on a run here. And that's what's going to be exciting, to see this team playing lesser quality opponents. I'm not going to say that they're easy wins, because the NBA, it's never an easy win. But to see lesser quality opponents, having our stars back, it's going to, it's going to be a fun and exciting second half of the season. And I think Paolo, Franz, and Suggs are in for a special run here for us. But with Paolo, man, all he has to do is continue to do what he's doing. Attack, try to be as efficient as possible. And to your point, he's been doing a great job getting his teammates involved. It's going to get so much easier when you get Franz and Suggs and the rest of the guys back. So I think there'll be an adjustment period. But man, it's going to feel like a cheat code for this guys stepping onto the court with Paolo, Franz, and Suggs after for so long being so depleted. So I can't wait to see how that all plays out.
Yeah, so you got tonight against Boston, then followed by Sunday against the Nuggets. But at that point, your tough stretch of the schedule, it finally ends. And then, Tuesday against the Toronto Raptors, you got Thursday against the Blazers, Portland playing, a lot better than what it may sound like on paper. So still a team that you have to take serious. What are your predictions for these 4 games that we have coming up?
I'm going to just go 2-2. As much as I want to say 3-1, which would be amazing. I think with Boston, it's going to be tough. We're so depleted with injuries. Even if we play really, really well, playing them at home in Boston, it's going to be so tough. And even Denver coming back on Sunday, unless we get healthier by them, it is a home game. We play much better at home, but Denver's been playing really well as of late. I see us beating Toronto. I see us beating Portland, but I see us losing against Boston and Denver.
Yeah, I mean, on paper it's 2-2. So if you can scratch anything more than that, then that's a successful series, as the team has been calling it. So yeah, Boston's not going to be easy. Denver, again, a team that has experience. They have MVP caliber players. Toronto is a team that we should not struggle with. We should be able to show our dominance. And then Portland, man, they're a young team that can still hurt you. So good, fun games in this stretch, and you hope that maybe through here we start to see some fresh legs back in the lineup, because this team needs it, man. We're going deep into the bag of fresh legs and players. Luckily, man, we've been getting some good production from Traveling Queen, which has been pretty good. Caleb Houston, a player that, man, you look at Caleb Houston and he has the prettiest, most inefficient shot I've seen from any player, and I think it's so active. But I was watching a video the other day where he's one of, I think, maybe a handful of players that still has not received a dunk in an NBA game yet. So hopefully we see something more from him. And I think that's the big. I was having this conversation with my dad not too long ago, but he's a player that you wish you can see a little bit more. Like you don't want him to rely so much on his 3-point shooting, especially since it's not as efficient as we want it to be. Then let me ask you, just on the Franz injury real quick, what would you say? Like we've gotten the reconditioning status for Franz Wagner. We got a little glimpse of what that kind of looks like with Paolo Banchero, who just obviously coming off that same exact injury. What is your prediction of when we'll get Franz Wagner back into the lineup?
So if I go based on Paolo's situation, I believe it was December 27th, we got the update saying that he got upgraded back to reconditioning, and he came back on January 10th officially against Milwaukee. So that was about 2 weeks. He missed a total of 7 games, 2 weeks. So if the same thing happens with Franz, that means that he should be back in 2 weeks, which would put him, let's see, so that would be the 30th approximately. I'm going to go with that. I'm going to say that he comes back on January 30th, and that is a game at Portland. I think we should be able to see him by then. If not, the earliest would be the 27th against the Miami Heat. That's kind of what my predictions are for his return. Some way, somehow, he's been a bit like a step ahead, Paolo, the entire process with the recovery. So it wouldn't surprise me if we see him earlier than that. But I think safely, 2 weeks from today is when we see him. How about you?
Yeah, I mean that sounds accurate. What I would like to see is the report of him being able to start getting contact during practice. That's obviously a great indicator that it's coming closer and closer. I can't remember who said it. It might have been I couldn't remember who said which reporter. So sorry to that reporter, but they brought up a really good point when these players start warming up. And when they're not playing, they're injured, but they're at least warming up on the court before the game. This allows them to be able to have extra time to be able to test them to see how their body is reacting. Allows them to do some level of contact drill. So it's a great indicator. So I think that once we get to that point, we see that from Franz Wagner. Now we're getting to a point where it's super close to return. We're not there just yet, but you can definitely feel that it's coming. There's 40 games left in this season. I feel like 42 games has already gone by way too fast. But when you take a look at what we have left, what are your end of season predictions for these last 40 games?
So win total, right? I think I went with 45, 47 back in October when we did our season preview. After what we've done in the first 42 games, I'm going to say that we end the season with, I'm going to bump us up. I'm going to say we actually end up with 50 wins this season. Is that going to be enough to get us the 4th seed or the 3rd seed? Not sure. But I will say that I think we find a way to go on a nice run here in the second half of the season. I think Paolo and Franz stay healthy. Jalen Suggs will stay healthy as well. And I think we find a way to win 27 more games. I really believe that. So if I was a betting man, I would say the Magic find a way to get to 50 by the end of the season. What about you?
Yeah, I got 25 games. That would put us at 48 wins. If you compare it to last season, 50 wins would have put you tied for second in the East. 48 would get you into that 4th seed. And again, the Magic last season ended the season at 47. So I'm definitely looking for improvements on the win column compared to last season, even if it just is that one game. But it goes to show you, like, if you remember last season, the Magic tied with 47 wins with the Indiana Pacers, with the 76ers. The Miami Heat had 46 wins. So the East was super, super close last season. And even when you take a look at where we're at this season, you still have The Cavs are at 34. The Cavs have been the surprising team, right, for the East. They have been leading from the very beginning of the season. Celtics right behind, but still a good amount of games behind. Then you got the Knicks at 27, Bucks at 22, and then, us tied with the Pacers at 23 and 19. So the Magic at some point, once we get these healthy bodies, we're going to need to start creating these separations with these teams if we want to be in the top four and get that home court advantage.
Yeah, man, I'm looking at Tankathon right now for the strength of schedule the rest of the way. And the Magic, according to them, on paper, stats, have the third easiest remaining schedule in the NBA.
That's what it's supposed to be. It doesn't feel that way, but that's what it's supposed to be.
Doesn't feel that way, right? But we're getting there. I'm telling you, after Sunday, it'll start to feel that way. But just to give you an idea, we play the Wizards 3 more times, which we know they're tanking. We play the Pelicans, which are just filled with injuries, once more. The Hornets twice more. The Raptors also tanking 3 more times. The Jazz once. The Blazers twice. So just right there, again, the Wizards, the Raptors, the Blazers, teams that are tanking, in my mind, that's 8 wins right there. So you got to find a way to win some additional games, of course, against some good opponents. But again, I think this second half of the season, you're destined to see this team go on a nice little run. Don't let, a 2-game losing streak, a 3-game losing streak this weekend change your mind, run into the trade machine. We don't need to. This team is going to be just fine. Again, we've been through the worst part of the season. We've been through all the injuries that we could have possibly imagined. And weird injuries, by the way. Who the hell knew that obliques was a thing that players in the NBA got impacted with injuries? But we're here. So we survived, in my opinion, we survived the worst part of the season. We survived some crazy injuries. Again, 40 games remaining, 30 is scheduled the rest of the way. I like our chances to go on a nice run and secure home court advantage in the East.
Yeah, absolutely. So the Magic got Boston tonight, Denver on Sunday. Jam-packed competitive weekend for the Magic. That's a wrap for us today on this show presented by Bet Online. Catch you guys on the next one.
For all the latest Magic news and updates, visit OrlandoMagicHQ.com and follow us on Instagram at OrlandoMagicHQ and on Twitter at OMagicHQ. Also, remember to subscribe to our YouTube channel and subscribe and leave a 5-star review on your favorite listening platform.